Okay. Okay, so my name is Rudy Napolitano. Can you hear? I'm from Marina del Rey, California. I'm a member of the Sprocket Rocket human-powered bicycle. I got a phone call maybe 3 weeks ago from the guys who were already assigned seats in the machine, and they said that a seat had opened up, and would I be interested in getting involved in the project and coming out to Battle Mountain? And I said yes, obviously. And so our third day in, we're trying to break the record that was set at 63 miles an hour, I believe, for multi-rider, multi-tracked machine. We're getting close, but we're still trying to find about 3 miles an hour. So, yeah.
And you've done this before?
Never done this before. I've been racing bikes for maybe 15 years. All the guys that have seats are bike racers, and we all know each other from racing. But this is the first time we've been in this bike.
What was the experience with that?
It's so sort of the first question on the do you want to partake interview is how are you with tight spaces. It's very, very tight, very claustrophobic. Not as much air as you might like, because the more vents you have, the less aerodynamic it is. So it's an intense experience, and it's a 7-minute effort. It feels like an hour, but we all enjoy it. That's why we're here.
That's really awesome. You know what you remind me of?
Who's that?
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Who's that?
You don't know who he is?
No.
He's an actor. He played Doctor Strange.
I gotta look him up.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch? Cumberbatch.
Yeah, and he played in the movie Imitation. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of like. But that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So you race like what kind of cycling?
Road racing, yeah.
How does that work out?
Well, it's a completely different dynamic than this. You're in a group of people on your own bike, and you're using drafting a lot. You have freedom to sort of go where you want to go within the race. With this thing, you're completely locked in, to this very restricted position. And, it's a straight line, and it's all about timing, and not just timing of the machine, but timing of the riders. We're all riding in the same pedaling cadence, on the same chain. And so to be able to time that, not only that within the 5 riders, but to enter this speed zone where you're at your max and you're going to be going your fastest. Like it's a lot of, every time we do a run, we learn, so we've got maybe 8 more runs to try to break this record.
What's the record again?
The record we're trying to break is 63 miles an hour.
63.
Yes.
You guys did 60?
We did just under 60. But there's that, exponentially as you go faster, the wall of resistance exponentially goes up. So our hurdle is right about at 60, where we're not able to punch through. And it, clearly it's the hurdle to break, because the guys that have the record just got past it by 3 miles an hour. We're right there knocking on the door.
That was Monday. The first run that you guys did this week was Monday.
Was Monday. Today we actually posted a faster time or a faster speed going through the speed traps, but the qualifying times to get into the night runs have been increasing because everyone's getting faster.
Oh.
So even though our speed was the fastest today, we didn't qualify for the night runs, which is fine because we're all tired. We've been doing 2-a-days. So we've got a couple things we're going to try. We have our engineers doing a bunch of things to the body of the machine to try to help us with aerodynamics, but
this blew me away.
This one, right? Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this.
So I didn't know what to expect either, because this was my first intro into this culture, was hopping in this thing. And then when we came here, like, you could clearly it stands out. Like all these other bikes are 2 wheels and they're maybe 6-7 feet long. This thing's over 40 feet long. It weighs 800 pounds. It's got 7 wheels. It's got 8 wheels, I believe, 4 in the back and 4 in the front. It's a totally different beast, you know. So
How much time did you get to prepare?
So I feel like the fitness part, the pedaling part, we've all been preparing for 15 years. But the timing part of it, the sitting in the machine and learning about the inertia, this thing has so much weight that it picks up speed slowly, and getting in sync with our teammates, that was all a very last minute thing. We've been working on it for maybe a month. I've only been in this thing maybe 4 times, you know, so it's insane.
So I have to ask, have you guys crashed?
Us personally, no, but the engineers took it out one time, and it was a little bit windy, and the wind popped one of the doors open, and then that acted as a sail, and the whole thing went off the road. And it did really well. We have 5-point racing seatbelts on the inside. We have a roll bar that goes over your head. So the thing crashed, and these guys were totally unscathed. At 65 miles an hour, I think they crashed, which is pretty intense.
How did the owner, how did you get into something like this?
The story I heard was the owner builder is also a cycling enthusiast and was aware of this culture. And on a mountain bike ride with one of his buddies, they were like, there's no reason why a 5-man vehicle can't be faster than a 1-man vehicle. And this was years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And that was the seed that was planted. And ever, you know, since then, I think that took them 4 years to build this, you know. So since then, it's been a concept, and then it eventually became a project, a physical project. And then eventually, you know, they put it on the road and started looking for riders. And that's where we are now. So, yeah. The last time one of these was brought here was in the 70s, I think. The last time a 5-man machine was brought to Battle Mountain. Actually, that's not true, because they've only been coming here for 20 years. So the last time one of these ran for a record was in the 70s. I'm not sure where they did it, what track, what piece of land, what road. But this is the first time one of these has been seen since then going for a record. So everyone's like, you know, curious, as are we.
Is that the world record?
World record for this class, yeah, 63 miles an hour. It's a lot harder than you think, because this thing has so much weight to it. To get it up to speed, it's like you really have to time your effort and not blow all your watts. And
so you guys all have to be
in sync, and then gradually push it. The analogy that I would make is pushing a car that's dead. You don't just start pushing all at once, right? You wait for it to move a little bit, and then you push a little bit more. And as the car starts rolling, you push more and more. Because if you go into it all the way from the beginning, you might move it, but you're going to lose all your energy. You're wasting all your energy. It's the same thing with this thing. Like if we go right out of the gate at 400 watts, it's not going to move any faster than if we come out at 150 watts. Literally, it's not going to go any faster. So you have to figure out, okay, when is it we're just, you know, bleeding out our power, or is this efficient?
So and how do you know when to put out the power?
That's the thing. That's the whole thing. You have 5 miles to get your machine up to speed, and then you enter this speed trap. And that's the whole thing, is how, you know, every machine is different on how they're going to get themselves to that point where they want to get timed. You know, you have 5 miles to get it together. We've tried everything. We came out really hard one day and tried to maintain. We went totally relaxed into, for the whole first 4 miles, and then hit it at mile 4. There's, you know, numerous ways you could approach it. And then the wind, well, the wind's not so much, because there's, after a certain number of watts of wind, the run is illegal anyway. So the idea is that the wind isn't going to help you. So today we had a tailwind, so I think all the runs were illegal, but we still came out. And
what does that mean?
It means that I think it's 3 knots. If there's more than 3 knots of wind, you could take a run. But if you put up a fast speed, it doesn't qualify as a record breaker, because the idea is we don't know if the wind helps you. So it has to be less than 3 knots, and I could be wrong, whatever the number is, of wind for your run to be considered as a record. So even though today was blowing like 15 knots, everyone came out because I think we all consider it a practice run. Like, you have to practice, right? So whether or not it's going to count, you still get to practice your timing. You get to practice the whole thing, you know? So,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you do this cycling as a hobby, or is it?
So I work for a tour company. We give tours on bikes. I've also been a professional racer. I've also been a coach. This is just another way to stay to stay active in the cycling community. You know, it's something to put on the resume. It's a story to tell. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I've never experienced this world, and now I'm here. When I first talked to some people, it was just alien to me.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
See how people get it.
And you'll notice that if you talk to a cyclist, if you interview me, I'm a cyclist. Interview an engineer next, and you'll see that the dialogue or the way that's conceptualized, you know, the difference between a cyclist and an engineer is completely different. Like, the engineer will be telling you about like the importance of, you know, decreasing drag and how polishing this part of the thing makes you, like, it's crazy how much you could sort of get involved in the little idiosyncrasies of the sport of the.
I think that helps, or as far as if the cyclists knew what
I think for me being just the power, I'm interested in what they're doing, but for me, I just want to be able to perform for them so that their efforts don't go unnoticed. You know, we want to break records for us, but we also want to break records because these guys have been spending 4 years building this bike. So for me, as long as I can concentrate on putting out power and doing my job, I'm not so, I don't really need to know what they're doing or the finer points of the engineer side. Like, it interests me, but as long as I'm doing my job, I'm happy, I hope that's all right. Yeah.